high above our planet, far beyond the clouds we see every day. Something unexplained may have been watching us for more than a century, moving silently through orbit. An object that some researchers claim should not be there at all. Some believe it could be an ancient alien probe, a silent observer drifting endlessly through space, high above Earth, long before satellites ever existed, long before rockets or space stations, or even the dream of reaching orbit. Before humanity had even begun to imagine leaving the surface of our world. But some researchers believe that something strange may still circle Earth today. A dark object gliding silently through space. An object of completely unknown origin. Conspiracy researchers call it the Black Knight Satellite, a mysterious signal, strange observations, and a story that stretches across more than 100 years. If the legends are true, the Black Knight Satellite may have been watching humanity for far longer than we ever imagined. The mystery of the Black Knight Satellite did not begin in the space age. In fact, its story may stretch back more than a century. In the late 1800s, scientists were beginning to experiment with a strange new technology: wireless signals, invisible waves moving silently through the air. One of the pioneers was Nikola Tesla, a brilliant inventor whose ideas helped shape the modern electrical world. But during his experiments, Tesla noticed something strange. While listening to signals coming from space, he detected repeating patterns, signals that did not appear natural. Tesla believed the signals might be coming from beyond Earth, perhaps even from another world. At the time, most scientists dismissed the idea. They assumed the signals were simply natural cosmic interference. But the strange observations did not stop there. Decades later, radio operators around the world began detecting something unusual. Strange radio echoes, signals that seemed to bounce from something high above Earth, something that should not have been there. At the time, no satellites existed, which raises a question that still echoes today. If something was already orbiting Earth, what exactly was it? By the mid-20th century, humanity was entering a new technological age. Radar systems were beginning to watch the skies. Powerful instruments capable of tracking objects far beyond the horizon. And during those early experiments, something unusual appeared. Operators began detecting unknown objects moving high above the Earth. Objects that seemed to follow stable orbital paths. But there was a problem. At that time, no human satellite had ever been launched. Yet radar systems appeared to show something circling the planet. Something dark. Something silent. Something that should not have been there. Reports of these strange detections began spreading quietly through military and scientific circles. Most explanations were cautious. Some suggested instrument errors. Others believed the radar echoes might have been caused by unusual atmospheric reflections. But not everyone agreed. Some researchers believed the signals were real, evidence of something already in orbit. years before human technology was capable of placing anything there. Then, in 1954, new reports began to surface. Newspapers claimed that military radar had tracked mysterious satellites orbiting the Earth. Some stories suggested there might be more than one. Unknown objects moving silently far above the planet. The claims were controversial. Many scientists dismissed them, but others continued to ask questions. If something truly was orbiting Earth before the space age, who or what put it there? To understand the mystery, we first need to understand how satellites actually work. When a satellite is launched, it must reach an incredibly precise speed, fast enough to keep falling around the Earth without ever hitting it. This delicate balance is what creates orbit. Different missions require different kinds of orbits. Some satellites circle close to the planet, just a few hundred kilometers above the surface. Others travel much farther away, remaining fixed above a single point on Earth. But every orbit follows strict rules of physics. Changing direction in space requires enormous amounts of energy, and unusual orbits are extremely difficult to achieve. Which is why one particular claim caught the attention of conspiracy researchers. They believed the Black Knight satellite followed a polar orbit, a path that travels directly over the Earth's poles. This kind of orbit was not achieved until the early days of the space race. Yet some stories suggested that the mysterious object had been detected long before that, which raises another question. If something was already moving through such a precise orbit, how could it have gotten there? The mystery of the Black Knight satellite reached a new level of attention during the early days of the Space Shuttle era. In 1998, NASA launched the shuttle mission STS-88. Its objective was to begin assembling the International Space Station. Astronauts worked outside the spacecraft, installing new equipment and connecting large structural components. During one of these spacewalks, a series of photographs were taken. Images captured in the darkness of orbit. And in several of those photographs, something unusual appeared. A dark object floating above the Earth. Its shape looked irregular, angular, almost mechanical. The photographs quickly began circulating across the internet. To conspiracy researchers, this was the proof they had been waiting for. They believed the images showed the legendary Black Knight satellite, an ancient object silently orbiting the planet, possibly watching humanity for thousands of years. The photographs were striking. A dark shape against the bright blue curve of Earth, suspended in the vacuum of space. But as the images spread, scientists began asking a different question. Was this really an alien satellite? Or was there a much simpler explanation? When the photographs were first released, they did not attract much attention. To NASA engineers, the images were simply another record of a routine mission. But years later, the photographs began circulating across the internet, shared on forums, websites, and early conspiracy communities. The dark shape floating above Earth captured people's imagination. To many viewers, it did not look like debris. It looked deliberate, mechanical, almost artificial. Soon, the images were linked to the old legend of the Black Knight satellite, a mysterious object supposedly orbiting Earth for more than a century. Once that connection was made, the photographs spread rapidly. Articles were written, videos were produced, and the story reached millions. A single image, captured during a routine mission, had become one of the internet's most famous space mysteries. As striking as the photographs appeared, the explanation may be far less mysterious. During the STS-88 mission, astronauts were assembling the early structure of the International Space Station. Large pieces of equipment, tools, and protective materials were being handled outside the spacecraft. One of those materials was thermal insulation, thin metallic blankets used to protect spacecraft from the extreme temperatures of space. During the mission, a piece of this insulation drifted away, slowly tumbling in the vacuum of orbit. As sunlight reflected across the crumpled metal surface, its shape appeared strange, angular, mechanical. Captured in photographs, the drifting blanket created an illusion, an object that looked far more mysterious than it truly was. To scientists, the explanation was simple: space debris. But for many people, the mystery was far from solved. Today, most scientists agree the Black Knight satellite is not an alien spacecraft. The famous photograph appears to show nothing more than drifting space debris. A fragment of insulation lost during a mission in low Earth orbit. And many of the earlier claims about strange signals and mysterious satellites likely have ordinary explanations. Misidentified objects, radar anomalies, or misunderstood data. Yet the legend continues to survive because space itself is still filled with mysteries. Signals we do not yet understand, objects we have not yet discovered, and somewhere far above our planet, the darkness of orbit still holds secrets. So the question remains, was the Black Knight satellite nothing more than a misunderstanding? Or is there still something out there watching from orbit?